The My Little Pony Graveyard Plague was created by Rebirth Reborn, and this one's been on my radar for a while because it's kind of like a mix between a horror AU and an infection AU, but I've been holding off on covering it because it is really dark. Now, this story starts out with a pony named Scarlet Mistral, and she has made her way to this giant demon in order to make a sacrifice on this tree stump, or aka the Tree of Life. And she said that she has dragged this pony along with her named Forest Walker. And she basically forces him onto this stump in order to be sacrificed, and for some reason, he doesn't have any desire to fight back. And I was confused about this until the next side, where we see Scarlet says, "Goodbye, husband," which makes me wonder if this guy was like so in love with her that he was just willing to give up his life for whatever her ambitions were. And while I'll have to blur this next part, he most definitely gets packed up, with his wife slamming this blade through his noggin, and she doesn't even look the least bit sad about it. Now, after sacrificing Forest Walker, we see his corpse start to float and then plunge into a whirlpool of red, but with a closer look, we see that either like skeletons or spirits are swirling around here, reminding me a lot of that scene in Hercules where he jumps into the river of the dead. Although, Forest Walker doesn't save the girl at the end of his plunge. With the sacrifice being accepted, we see this creature ask Scarlet what she wants. And she reveals that she wants to rule over Equestria because she feels like Celestia is not a worthy ruler. But not only that, she wants to also spread the boundaries of Equestria, using her magic to take over the surrounding kingdoms and aka bring Equestria to its full potential. And while I don't know every kingdom like in Equestria, I do know that the Changeling Queen has her own little kingdom and Cadence also has a kingdom, so at least those two would be in danger here. And being satisfied with this request, the demon agrees to grant her the kingdom. And while Scarlet is kind of geeking out about all the plans she has for her new kingdom, we see the body of Forest Walker returns. And I say the body of Forest Walker because if you look close, it looks like something is hiding inside of him, almost like it's wearing him as a skin suit. And then we see whatever this creature is lunge at Scarlet, seeming to take a bite out of her face. But in the next slide, it seems like it did much more than that. Scarlet looks monstrous now, with half her face and her midsection gone, and she seems to have one wing and a look of absolute mania in her eye. And the last thing that she says in this chapter is that she will bring reformation. But I don't think that she was actually planning to have her body destroyed or mutilated in the process. I feel like this demon may have granted her her wish, but with a wicked twist to it, which is really common in any stories where like people make a deal with the devil or with demons in general. The next chapter starts with us seeing AJ and Big Mac working on their family farm / orchard, and then they hear Apple Bloom scream, and they waste no time dashing over to her. When they get there, what they see is a corrupted form of Forest Walker. He has Bloom stuck up in his tree as he tries to climb up and take a bite out of her. Seeing this, AJ goes feral and attacks this abomination, and while we don't get to see the fight, based on this scene right here, we know that AJ was able to save her sister, although it looks like they were both bitten by that thing. Bloom on the leg and AJ on her side. And then we see Granny point out that the wound seems to be spreading, sending black tendrils through her midsection and heading to her heart. And seeing that Granny was correct, AJ decides to run out of the house, immediately thinking that this creature infected her with some kind of virus, saying, "I need to get away from them. I'm gonna hurt somebody. I let this happen. How could I let this happen?" And while some people may think AJ has been dumb here, I actually think she's really smart and selfless. I think she understands that she is bitten in a place where they can't simply cut off the infected part, unlike her sister who was bitten on the leg. So AJ runs deep into the forest and basically starts to waste away because she would rather suffer alone than put her family or any other ponies in danger. And eventually we see that she was correct, and she does end up transforming into some kind of demonic pony with this elongated body and mouth just like Forest Walker had. The only mistake that AJ made was that she didn't realize that even after she passed away, her body would get back up on its own, meaning that she's basically a zombie now, wandering the forest looking for victims to attack. Now back over in Equestria, we see all the ponies and Spike having a little tea party, seemingly unaware of everything that has been going on so far, with Twilight even saying, "Everything is perfect. I hope it stays like this forever." Only for the town to immediately go up in flames and Twilight with it. And as she's watching her home burn down, she says, "Equestria is gone." And while this is a sad scene, the artwork here where we see the reflection of the burning kingdom in Twilight's eye is immaculate. The next slide threw me for a bit of a curveball, because it says Celestia took everything down with her. And then we get this image of the princess looking as if she's been burnt to a crisp as well, smiling as everything turns to ash around them. Now, this next chapter has the ponies in human form, and it seems like the artist likes to go back and forth between like ponies and human. It kind of reminds me of that Equestria Girl cartoon from back in the day. But the first thing that we see here is AJ, and she is huge at this point, even taller than some of the trees around her. And then we see that Discord and Shy have been looking for her and have finally found her. And Flutter is basically pleading with Discord to help out her friend. But he seems reluctant because he feels like once things started going bad in Equestria, the other ponies abandoned Shy, although she seems to see things differently than him. And while Discord is trying to hold strong here, we see Shy give him like the girlfriend death stare and he folds like a wallet. And I have to admit, human Discord using his powers does look pretty cool. He kind of gives off like vampire vibes. And although we don't actually get to see what he did, whatever it was seems to have brought AJ back to a more manageable size, although her body and face are still all scarred up and much longer than it was initially. And I think this is because the virus stretched her out so much initially that it was hard to get her back to her regular size. But I also have to acknowledge that based on Shy's reaction, Discord could have made her look this way on purpose because we all know that he can be kind of a butthole sometimes. And this is kind of showcased by the fact that he leaves her here alone to fend for herself when she wakes up. But I have to give him some credit at least because he did leave her with a weapon. We also learned that whatever Discord did to her has made her nearly invincible. So as long as she's on the side of the ponies, I think that she's going to be a huge asset moving forward. Although when she opens her eyes here and they're red, that does kind of worry me a little bit. The next chapter starts with an image of Spike, who looks like he was caught by the infection and also the fire possibly. And Rarity seems to be the only person out in the woods looking for him. Although she looked like she has suffered as well, with half of her face been burnt pretty good. And even though Spike is so damaged, he still seems to have a hunger for flesh and he starts to go after Rarity. But before Spike can actually take a bite out of her, a pony comes out of nowhere and snaps him up. And not wanting to see or hear the carnage, we see Rarity close her eyes and cover her ears as this snapping and crunching sound can be heard in the background. And once she finally musters up the courage to look up, she sees AJ and she's telling her to get up. And while AJ looks a bit crazy here, she seems to be an ally. After that, we get to see Spike's stat sheet, and we learn that after Twilight's death, he ran off into the woods and ended up getting infected out there. The sheet also confirms that AJ definitely put him out of his misery, giving her 2 bodies under her belt at this point. We also see that at some point, Fluttershy ended up getting infected and locked herself into her home, and by the time the other ponies found her, she was already super far gone. Pinky, however, is alive and well and looking kinda...
What do you mean by that?
It seems like after the fire, she was one of the few ponies that actually tried to gather all the other ponies together. Unfortunately, she has found out that most of the ponies are either in the dirt or infected. Dash is also still alive and healthy, and while she played a huge role in putting out the giant fire, she's also become like sort of a leader for the survivors. Although, after learning that AJ got infected, she's kind of lost her spark, which is why she looks so sad in this image here. In the next chapter, we see that the ponies managed to get Rarity to a hospital bed, and she seems to be in good shape now. And then we see Pinky start talking her head off, basically just explaining how they were trying to find her this whole time, but all the chaos made it difficult. And I love how she's like all in her face here. Even in this dark reality, Pinky is still a lovable goofball. And as Pinky is showering her with love, we see that Dash and AJ are also in the room. And while AJ looks pretty good, all things considered, Dash looks like this world is really starting to take a toll on her mental state. We also learn that AJ doesn't seem to remember what happened to her, but Dash definitely does, which is why she's giving her the side eye here. It seems like Dash got a up close look at the monster that AJ became, and she is still traumatized, although she's trying to play it off here for her friends. But at this point, it seems like AJ is starting to realize that she may have done some horrible stuff when she was infected, even if she can't remember it. Now, in the final panel of this chapter, we see Discord wandering around the woods until he makes his way to Fluttershy's shed, and he sees the monster that she has become. Luckily, we know that he has the ability to cure people of the infection, so Shy should be okay unless she's too far gone. And I'm really happy to hear that because in most of the AUs, Fluttershy usually gets screwed over, so I'm happy she may actually get a happy ending. The next chapter shows the ponies in their human forms again, and AJ and Dash have gone on a mission to find more survivors, and they actually end up finding Big Mac. And honestly, they look like a pretty cool team right here. We learned that after AJ disappeared, Big Mac basically became the head of the household and managed to keep his family and the Cutie Crusaders safe, even when the Great Fire started raging. Although when we see this picture of Granny watching over the kids, we see that Bloom is missing a leg, meaning that they definitely did have to remove it when she got infected. But at least she didn't have to suffer through the transformation like AJ did. After that, we finally see the stages of the infection, with Bonbon being the example. We get confirmation that any bite will actually transfer the infection, but also eating the flesh of an infection can spread the virus, or getting blood or saliva from an infected into an open wound. The stage 1 symptoms include headache, nausea, body aches, and anxiety. After that, we learn that ponies move over to stage 2 at different speeds depending on the starting point of their infection. So basically, a pony that was bitten on the leg may have a few days, while a pony that was bitten on the chest may only have a few hours, because the infection will make it to the heart faster. Symptoms at this point are extreme hair loss and weight loss, blisters all over their body, severe body pain, and insomnia. At stage 3, this means that the pony is completely gone. They are just monsters that are slowly rotting away and aimlessly wandering, attacking anything that comes into their path. And stage 4 is the final stage, and this is where the pony's brains finally give out and their bodies are rotted away almost completely. We also learn that this virus feeds on strong emotion, so people who are panicking, afraid, or angry when they're infected will be the ones to change, while ponies that can make peace with their death may not change. And honestly, good luck with that, because I know if I got infected, I would be freaking out. We also see that Lyra got infected as well, although we get to see the human version of her. And I'm not surprised that Lyra and Bonbon basically got infected at the same time. I feel like in every AU, since these two are always seen as a couple, they always go down together, which is kind of romantic, but man, it sucks for them. Now, the next chapter starts with Luna in the air in full battle armor, and she seems to be going up against Scarlet, and she truly looks majestic here. We also see a bunch of the other ponies fighting as well. We have Pinky here, AJ of course, Rarity right here, and then we see Zakara, and at first I thought that she was infected, but after looking a bit more closely, I just think that she's covered in armor. We then get to see Luna going toe-to-toe with Scarlet, and while she's powering up, we see Celestia telling her sister that she needs to run, but Luna refuses to back down. And from my understanding, the reason that Luna is able to go toe-to-toe with this creature right now is because she's taken on her Nightmare Moon form, and she's also inherited some of the power of her sister, which is why we see her spirit actually arrive in this battle. And then with Luna's final attack, we see this radiant power wash over every pony in attendance, and we can also see like the reflection of the blast in Scarlet's eye. And this attack is so powerful that it turns Scarlet, or aka Mother, into stardust. And then we see that dust hit the ground and starts to create new life. And if that wasn't enough, we then see this statue erect from the ground looking over Equestria. And while some people thought that this was Luna or Celestia, I'm pretty sure that this is Scarlet. Next, we get this message that says, "The sun sets, the moon keeps the sun's kingdom alive until a new day is born." And I think that this message is just the creator's way of showing that Luna has now taken Celestia's position. Celestia, of course, was the sun, and now her time is done, so the moon, or aka Luna, has to rise in order to look over this kingdom. The next chapter shows us what the ponies did once they actually defeated Scarlet. We see that AJ and Rarity seem to be a couple now, and AJ was actually able to get her scars healed, while Rarity decided to keep hers, saying that her scars are a part of her now. Rainbow ended up becoming the leader of a task force assigned with tracking down and eliminating the rest of the infected ponies. And sadly, it seems like she never actually got her spark back, remaining quiet and just keeping a fair distance between herself and the other ponies. Discord and Shy ended up making a bunch of statues for their friends who didn't survive, with Spike being the one that we get to see here, but there are a ton of them around apparently. Pinky is still her bubbly self, and she's going around giving out cakes and pies, just trying to bring smiles to the other survivors. Surprisingly, they were also able to save Twilight, but just like Dash, she's kind of lost her spark as well. She refuses to leave her home at this point and has fallen into a state of depression because she blames herself for everything that happened, although it really isn't her fault at all. We also learned that the reason that Cadence didn't really play a huge part in this AU is because, along with her kingdom, she also warned other kingdoms to shut down and quarantine because there was a plague going around. And while it sucks that she didn't help, when you think about it, she has her own family and her own citizens to worry about, so it's really hard to be mad at her. We also get this panel here that basically confirms that Celestia's powers were indeed passed on to Luna, but I think at this point we all kind of figured that out. I did find it kind of sad though that Luna seems to always be grieving the loss of her sister, but at least they did make a statue for her, kind of honoring her sacrifice. Now, the creator did give us a sneak peek into the continuation of this AU that's going to be on their Patreon, and it seems like they're going to give like more details and kind of filling in some of the gaps that the original story had. Although I obviously won't be able to cover that because I'm sure they don't want me to go buy their Patreon and then just go give out the content for free. So I'll make sure to go ahead and link their Patreon down in the description. If you want to go see the continuation of this story or just show support, go ahead and click on that. All in all, I will say I thought this story was great. It had a fairly happy ending. The infection had a nice little twist to it with it coming from like this demonic creature. And this is one of the first AUs where Luna finally kind of gets to shine. But with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video on the screen here. Subscribe today to become a member of the Ors Force, and we'll see you tomorrow with another video. Peace, peace.